God, we're reminded in your word that you sent out 70 disciples. And you sent them out and said, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. And go on your way. See, I am sending you out like lambs into the midst of wolves. Carry no purse, no bag, no sandals, and greet no one on the road. And whatever house you enter in, first say, peace to this house. Today, God, we give you thanks for all the people that you're sending us here in Surf City. We pray that we receive them as if you sent them to be in our midst. We realize, God, that they come from different places and they carry with them different bags. But may we be bold in welcoming. God, we're thankful for this meeting. May this be a meeting where justice would roll down like waters and righteousness would be known. And we pray all this in Christ's holy name. Amen. Amen.
Our Surf City student is not here tonight, so Mayor Pro-Tem is going to lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to recognize the Emergency Management Department here at the town of Surf City, and also our Information Technology Department. If James Horn is here, if he would come up front. So we started like making some special recognition to the different departments in town because a lot of these people do a lot of work and they never get seen. So we want to show our appreciation and recognition to James Horn. He is our Emergency Management Director. He has been an employee of Surf City for 14 years. He started out working in our police department and in 2019 moved to Emergency Management Director. He is certified, has a certification in the International Association of Emergency Managers. He's the North Carolina Emergency Management Executive level, and he is also the Pender County Local Emergency Planning Committee. He is the vice chair on that committee. Anything you want to add, James?
Thank you to the board for doing this. I appreciate it. It's a great place. Have a lot of opportunities. Yeah. Word out there always gives our lives a little bit of pizzazz and drama, but we pull through it together as a team. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate you. And then also in the Information Technology Department, we have Jason Lingle, which is out sick today, but his partner in crime back there is Chris Wright. You'll step out, Chris. Chris has been with us about 6 months now, working in our IT department. The IT department has reached the goal of 100% NIMS, which stands for the National Incident Management System, and is ICS compliance by obtaining all required ICS certifications. So we appreciate all you do. You'd like to add anything to us? Thank you. I don't have our Arbor Day proclamation down here. We're going to move forward to Beautification and Enhancement Awards. I'm going to call up Trudy Solomon, which sits on the Beautification Enhancement Committee. And we have a Business of the Month, which is the Allen Inn this year. this month. The Petersons, if you are here, if you would step forward with anybody that works with you that's here tonight.
We are just happy to present businesses every month, choosing whichever one every month. That just makes our community better in appearance and just the feel of everything. We appreciate all you do.
Well, thank you for that. I would like to say one thing. We appreciate everything that Surf City has done with us, because without Surf City and the town's support, it would be so much harder to do these projects. We've done several of them, and we've enjoyed doing every single one of them. Mostly, though, we wouldn't have anything if Stephanie had not done all the work on this. Believe me, if myself and Chris had done it, it would not have turned out like that. But thank you so much.
And then for the Home of the Month is 101 Quarter Horse Drive, Mr. and Miss Jennings. I don't know if you're here tonight. No? Okay, thank you. It's okay. Thank you. One thing I would like to say about the Petersons, they have done an outstanding job of, you have these little hole in the walls that need so much TLC, and instead of going in and just tearing it down, they go in and they revitalize it and make it a very cozy, appealing place that people want to stay. So every time I drive by a property that has been renovated, I was like, ooh, I bet Jeff did that, you know. So we're thankful for all you do. It looks great. Next, we're going to move to the adoption of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment to the agenda to move item number 11 to number 9.
Do I have a second?
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So at this time, we are going to move item number 11, which was the public hearing with Applewood Trace Amendment, and I'm going to call on Amy Combs to come up and present.
Mayor, I'm sorry, there was a motion to move that item. Was there a subsequent motion to pass the agenda as amended? If not, that would be in order.
I'll make the motion, we pass the agenda as amended.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Council. The Applewood Trace project began the review process in 2022. The Planning Board first reviewed this project in September and October of 2022, with the applicant withdrawing the application at the November 2022 council meeting. The applicant resubmitted the project and was heard again at the February 9th, 2023 meeting. Planning Board made a motion to deny the rezoning request. The applicant has filed an appeal of the decision per Appendix A, Chapter 13.3.5 of the Surf City Code. On March 31st, 2023, the applicant submitted a revised plan to staff modifying the site plan.
Ms. Kimes, the recently submitted revised site plan, I've reviewed it briefly. That has significant changes from the site plan that the Planning Board was looking at in February?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I suggest we hear from a representative of the applicant. Mr. Sam Frank, I believe, is going to speak on behalf of the applicant. And if I may, Madam Mayor and Council, Mr. Frank, you heard Ms. Kimes indicate that your client has submitted a revised site plan. I think it was submitted sometime late last week. Is that your understanding?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Okay. And that revised site plan reduced the density, amongst other things, by about half. Is that correct?
Reduced it from 730 some units to 399. That's right.
And remove the apartments,
Altogether.
remove the on-site sewer package plant.
Yes, that's a significant evolution in the conversation, that we now understand that sewer can be made available, and therefore we don't have to provide sewer on our own site.
So if the site plan that the planning board was looking at in 2023 is the subject matter of your appeal, based on that site plan, would you agree with me that that appeal is now moot since you've revised the site plan?
Yes, the planning board's recommendation was based on a site plan that's no longer current and has been replaced by a substantially revised one, so I think your characterization of the appeal as moot is fair.
Okay. And so the applicant would agree on the record that the appeal's moot. There's no need to have a hearing on that appeal since we're dealing with a substantially modified site plan.
Agreed.
Madam Mayor, based on that, I believe we can deem the appeal to be moot because the site plan submitted is not the same site plan that the planning board was looking at in February 2023, which was the subject matter of the appeal. I'll let Mr. Frank describe how we got to this new site plan, if he'd like. I know that is on behalf of the applicant. The engineer submitted a letter where he identified several significant changes. Did you want to go over any of that, Mr. Frank?
I'm glad to. I understand that McKim and Creed's letter has been provided to each of you, but also understand that there are several people in the room who are interested in the subject matter and didn't have the benefit of that letter. So if you'll bear with me, I'll explain briefly what's changed. First and foremost, as I mentioned earlier, we now understand, recently understand, that sewer is available to the site. And that means that we no longer need to incorporate a wastewater treatment plant on the site. It also means that we no longer need the level of density that was previously proposed to support the $10 million cost of putting a wastewater treatment plant on the site. And so as a result, we have now the freedom to adapt the site plan. We've heard the comments that the planning board made. We've heard the comments that our neighbors have made. Very aware of and very sensitive to that. And so, as you might imagine, it's very satisfying to us to be able to propose a revised site plan to you, to the town, that is far more consistent with the comments that we heard from the planning board and responsive to the concerns that we heard from our neighbors. You'll get an opportunity to consider that revised site plan in much more detail, and so I don't want to go too far into it, but I do want to give you just a brief explanation of what's different. As Mr. Eads described, the total unit count has gone from 730 some to 399. The single-family home sites on the revised site plan are located adjacent to the existing neighborhoods at Turtle Creek and at Edgecombe. And the townhomes, which are part of the currently approved PUD, the concept of townhomes that is, on our design are located in the center of the project, buffered by those single-family pods at either end of the development. We, again, no longer have a wastewater treatment plant. Then, and explicitly, I know I mentioned density, but I want to say explicitly that we've taken out the multifamily component altogether. One of the things we heard,
Which is what we've, at planning board level, Lisa, has been referred to as the apartments.
yes, sir, that's right. And we've heard those comments time and again, as you have as well, that there's some meaningful discomfort with the concept of multifamily. I know you heard us say previously that we needed it, that we needed the density that multifamily afforded in order to be able to make the numbers work with a wastewater treatment plant. As soon as we understood that sewer would be available to the site, the first thing we adapted about the site plan was to extract the multifamily from the development. And so, having offered that brief explanation, I believe that the appropriate next step, subject to your council's guidance, is for you to ask the planning board to consider the revised site plan. Let staff review it, let them summarize it, analyze it, and do their thing. Let the planning board hold a hearing, analyze the revised site plan so that they can make a recommendation to you based on the same, and then give you a fully educated opportunity to consider it here.
Quickly, Mr. Frank, in addition, as this project has progressed and changed, there have been concerns expressed about construction, heavy traffic, things like that. Your revised site plan discusses a means to mitigate and have heavy trucks. This is a question, it sounds like a statement. I'll let you, is there something in the revised submittal that addresses that?
And so the concerns that we've heard regarding construction traffic appear to follow two lines of discussion. First, we're concerned about damage to the existing public right-of-way that is Loggerhead Boulevard. And second, we're concerned about a volume of construction traffic on Loggerhead Boulevard and the threat that that might impose on pedestrians and residents. And so we had already proposed a condition to address that first concern. We'd already said, no matter what, we'll evaluate the condition of the road prior to our touching it in any way, shape, or form. And when our work is done, we'll evaluate it again and we'll take full responsibility for restoring the condition of the road to the condition it was in before we started our work. That condition, proposed condition, remains. In addition to that, we also proposed a condition whereby we will incorporate signage and direct heavy construction traffic, heavy vehicle construction traffic, that is, to the northern entrance, and that will direct the lighter vehicle construction traffic in and out of the southern entrance to help alleviate that second concern.
And all of that is contained in the engineer for this project's letter to staff submitting the revised site plan.
It is. I can't characterize it as a proposed condition yet,
right,
because staff hasn't had an opportunity to do their analysis and,
sure,
and propose conditions, but that's exactly what we intend by incorporating it into the engineer's letter.
And the goal there is to address the state of traffic concerns that have been stated by, as you put it, your neighbors, the public, planning board, council, all of the concerns that your clients heard. The reason why that's in the cover letter is to let everyone know that you took those concerns seriously and you're prepared to address them as this progresses through staff and to the planning board.
Absolutely, and I think the proof is in the pudding. There's nothing that I can say that's more compelling than the actual revisions to the site plan itself and the actual revisions to the proposed conditions that we've put on the table. But I'm glad to say again that the reason we've made those changes is because we care greatly about what the planning board directed us to do and what our neighbors have said about the proposed development.
Thank you, Mr. Frank. Madam Mayor, any questions? As he indicated, it is somewhat premature to get into the nitty-gritty of the revised site plan because staff needs to go through it, and I'm going to recommend, in light of the appeal being moot, that council direct the revised site plan to go through staff to the planning board, and then it'll come back before this council with a recommendation from planning board. But as far as tonight's appeal, since that site plan is no longer in play, it's a moot appeal, so the next step would be to direct the staff and planning board to review the revised site plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have of me. I'm sure Mr. Frank would answer any questions to the best of his ability that you may have of him.
Does anyone on the board have any questions?
Thank you, Mr.
Madam Mayor, council members, thank you. I'm nearby. Should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call on me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to summarize, Madam Mayor, since the appeal's moot, there would be no need for a public hearing on that old site plan because that old site plan is no longer on the table. And as town attorney, I recommend that the council direct staff and the planning board to review the revised site plan and then bring this back to council after planning board looks at it and makes a recommendation one way or the other.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Mayor.
Moving forward, we have a presentation today.
Is there a general consensus that that's the route we take?
I think
Yes.
everybody was good.
I agree.
Does anybody object to that? Okay. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect there's no objection. So, Mr. Town Manager, you feel comfortable we have our marching orders? Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council.
At this time, we're going to have a presentation on our project update from the Surf City Coastal Storm Risk Management, and we have Lieutenant Burnham here from the Army Corps. Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Rob Burnham, Madam Mayor, councilmen, councilwomen. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. So yes, there's a few things, a few topics I want to get to with regards to the renourishment of the Surf City Beach, kind of give you an update, and then please, any questions, any rabbit holes you want to go down, absolutely, that's why I'm here. So again, Rob Burnham, I'm the Deputy Commander for the Wilmington District Army Corps of Engineers. I've been the acting commander of the district for probably the last 3.5, 4 months. Colonel Bennett, of course, sends his regrets that he cannot be here. He's been pulled down to Puerto Rico as part of a Task Force Power mission that we have going on there, enterprise level mission, so they pulled him down there to do it. With that being said, where we're kind of at as far as the project and to really get to where we need to get as far as renourishing the Surf City Beach. Of course, we know that North Topsail is not part of the authorization for the project. So by our systems and processes, we have to deauthorize that piece of the authorization. All right, and so what that does and where that puts us, we're working that. We're working the deauthorization piece. We're working the multidiscipline effort and the technical effort to recertify cost, make sure that our cost-benefit analysis is still correct, environmental justice, going through the adaptation plan, right? So chopping off that 4-mile section and adapting it down to the 6-mile project that you have requires that technical analysis, technical work. We are confident that we'll be submitting that to our higher headquarters this August at the end of the summer. What that means after is, we have agency technical reviews and so forth. The bottom line is we have to get the engineering right, and before we can go through, get the authorization. This authorization will require the chief's signature, all right? So that's our chief of engineers, Lieutenant General Spellman. He will, after we submit it, after it's been reviewed, he will sign it, and we're looking at him signing it and approving the authorization this year. And so with that, that's the two big pieces, right? When we do federal contracting, federal engineering projects, authorization and appropriation. We have the money. We've got to make sure that we get the authorization. Once we get that, we'll of course sign the project partnership agreement with you all and go forward and move forward. A couple notes inside of that is the environmental analysis that we're doing, right? That's always one of the first questions that we get asked as far as our EA and where that's at. We are completing that. We will have that in hand, but that will be for year-round initial construction for the project. We see no issues with our environmental analysis or the milestones to get there. And then just the overarching kind of governance that we have for the project. That's what I wanted to come here and reassure you all just how serious we take this project, all right? I've described it, myself and my boss and myself, there's 3 or 4 things in the district that they're no-fail, cannot drop. This is one of them. This project is one of them. What we've done and what we have in place is the project governance to ensure this stays on track, that this stays moving forward. And by project governance, I'm talking about our full corporate board, right? Our division chiefs, our GS 15s and 14s, who are responsible for the various functional areas of the district. Our chief of emergency, our chief of engineering, construction, and planning, our chief of resource management, our office of counsel, and so forth. This is all a very serious project that we want to make sure that we get right, that we get it on track, and we get this done for the people of Surf City. So with that concludes, my comments up front, and please, Madam, if there's any questions.
Anyone have any questions? I think we are extremely excited to know that everyone has this on the top of their list and still moving forward. We have got some good answers from you today. We, knowing that we're going to have a year-round project once it starts is very good news, and we just look forward to this starting very, very soon. We've been waiting patiently for a long time.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And as we continue to move forward, we will, of course, stay 100% transparent. But yeah, the ball's in our court. We're moving forward with it, and we have the right people in place to do it. So I feel very confident about it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
You.
So at this time, I will ask for approval of the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, it's my understanding Mayor Pro-Tem Helms had to leave due to an emergency family situation. I would request a motion that he be excused from the meeting. Otherwise, every vote, if he's not excused, he's deemed here because he was here when the quorum was created. So an absence of a vote from him without being excused would be a yay vote. So a motion to excuse.
Make a motion to excuse Councilman Helms.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
At this time, we'll move to the approval of the consent agenda. If everyone would look over that, and if you are okay, I need a motion to move forward.
I make a motion to move forward.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. At this time, we'll go to our manager for his report. Or I'm sorry, I skipped public comments. So we'll call on Carla for public comments first.
Is it Connolly?
The dress is 320 tall. I'm sorry, your handwriting is as good as mine.
Michael Hill.
So we're looking at mine because I can't write very well. Good evening, Council and Madam Mayor. I'm Michael Hill with the Beautification and Enhancement Committee, and I just had two short things I wanted to mention. One is April 22nd, about 2 to 3 weeks from now, we're going to be having our spring street sweep. It's going to be held again at the Soundside Park from 9 a.m. to approximately 11 a.m. Of course, refreshments and everything will be provided. We will have pickers and gloves and all of that type that is will be available. So we certainly appreciate anyone that's can come on and sign up. We need a lot of people. We have a lot of areas to cover before the season really gets underway. We will also be putting that out on Facebook. There is a link for you to go and sign up. Secondly, I just wanted to mention real quickly, I wanted to thank Georgia Bush with the North Carolina Coastal Federation. We had our Living Shores or Living Shoreline presentation a couple of weeks ago, and it was very interesting, and we had several townspeople there that live along the shore that are affected by this, and it just really gave a lot of good alternative measures that you can use other than some of the old efforts that don't really last very long. So if you weren't able to attend, try to look up with the North Carolina Coastal Federation and you can look into this, but it was very good. So again, we appreciate the people who showed up for that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
David.
Finch.
Okay, Catherine Salzar.
Try to be very brief, so I might talk a little fast, but I'll get through this. My first issue is to talk about the rezoning as a larger issue. I'm going to refer to Kevin Costner and Yellowstone and his comment of saying that he is the opposite of progress. And when he says that, people might think, well, he doesn't want any development at all. That's not what he was saying, right? He wants people to take care of the land that they are so lucky to live near. And in his case, obviously gorgeous. In our case, our beaches that I know we all love so much, and our intercoastal waterway. So by anti-progress, I just mean that we need to take more care. And just reapproving all the rezonings that add more houses to this area without looking at the infrastructure and the schools and the traffic, it doesn't make sense to me. And you all live here, so you also experience the traffic and everything that's going on. So it doesn't make sense to me that you also approve it. And I'll give a real quick example. In addition to this type of rezoning where Turtle Creek homeowners bought into an area with the idea of what that expense was and what that was going to look like. Buying a home is the largest expense that most people are going to make in their life. Unless if you're a business owner, it probably is going to be the largest expense. And any realtor will tell you location, location, location. So when rezoning is then gone in and changed that area into something else, that is not fair to the homeowners, but those homeowners made an agreement with the developer when they bought that area. They made an agreement with the town of what it was going to look like. So I think we need to be a little more careful about all the rezoning that is being done. One of my ideas would be not to let a developer change any type of plans in a neighborhood once houses start to sell. My other plan would be that if a developer wants to submit plans that's different from the original, that those plans, every homeowner needs to be aware of that submission. And it can't just be at the last minute this past weekend. It has to be well in advance. As soon as those plans are submitted for the town to look at, the board to look at, those homeowners should be notified. And there should be a town announcement, because in this Turtle Creek situation, it's not just affecting them, it's affecting everybody that uses that road. And rezoning is not always about more houses. Sometimes it's about setback changes. And that's also something that, again, you should let homeowners know. They bought into an area with an understanding of what it was going to look like. And all of you here that own homes, you should also have that same understanding and the same expectation. Okay, done with that. Real quick, trash pullback. I think most people are going to say that the trash pullback is a great thing. I looked on the website. I see that there's no charge for that, which would also make people be very excited. Wow, there's no charge. Well, I'm going to say nothing is free. There cannot be a Surf City employee that had nothing to do and now is pulling those trash bins back, or a waste management employee that is doing this out of the goodness of their heart. I do not believe that. So with the trash issue, years ago, you guys sent out not you, Surf City sent out a notice because you wanted a Friday extra pickup because of all the trash in the season. Understandable, but there was a lot of pushback because a lot of full-time residents did not need the extra trash pickup and did not want the cost. So I suspect that in the future there will, and maybe the near future, how long will it take people to forget? There will be an increase in our trash on our bill because there is an increase in service, which is a pullback. And I'm going to recommend that that be optional. Many full-time residents don't need that service and should not have to pay for it. And people that need it because they're not here on the day, let them pay for that. And if the town doesn't want to do it, then how about let that be a private business that takes care of that? Lastly,
Thank you, Ms.
Madam Mayor, respectfully, we're well over.
I'm sorry. My last thing is I don't think the town should do closed sessions. I think we need transparency in government. I think everything that you need to discuss that affects the people that are here should be done in front of us. And unless if it's an HR issue that I completely understand might need to be made in private, every other issue that you're discussing should be fully discussed in front of your town and your residents, the people you represent. Thank you so much. I know you guys work really hard, and I appreciate it.
Anyone else, Carla?
Enrique?
Gato, Enrique? Gato? Mr. Enrique or Mrs. Enrique? Madam Mayor and Council, that's all who signed up for public comment. There were some folks that signed up for the public hearing, but that became moot and related to
Yes,
the
sir.
appeal.
At this time, we'll move to Cal Brewer with our manager's report.
All right, good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council, and members of the public, and certainly staff. Just want to go over a couple of things real quick. First, starting with the budget process. The finance director and I have been meeting regularly to refine the fiscal year 23-24 budget. We are on schedule, and I certainly look forward to presenting to you the manager's recommended budget at your next work session. It is our goal to bring you a balanced budget while meeting the service needs of our residents and visitors through departmental execution. The budget, as always, will certainly remain fiscally responsible and hopefully cover the policy needs of council. Next thing, I just wanted to report back. I did have the pleasure to travel to Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago with a small delegation of the Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Commission. We were able to meet with our federal legislators along with their staff to discuss some of the federal priorities that impact not just Surf City but Topsail Island as a whole. Of note was a meeting with the Corps at headquarters to stress the urgency of the federal project. I just wanted to say I'm thankful for Lieutenant Colonel Burnham and his staff for being here today, along with district staff, as well as Colonel Bennett's overall leadership in Wilmington. We do look forward to continuing to work on this project until completion, and certainly work with them to provide any information they need from Surf City. And I think as we learned today, or we knew that, the ball's in the Corps' court, and we'll continue to apply that pressure to them to make sure that they deliver that project as promised to Surf City. The Resilient Coastal Communities Program, we've been following along with this for quite some time. We just recently closed out Phase 3 of that program. That Phase 3 was $135,000 to look at some of our flooding hotspots and come up with permit-ready designs for implementation. Along those lines, the Phase 4 application became available last week, which I was able to submit an application on behalf of the town in the amount of $180,000. The site selected as top priority for this funding opportunity is along Mecklenburg Avenue within the Del Mar Beach area. This was selected due to overall cost and grant funding availability. It is our understanding that the state has proposed to include another $10 million for the RCCP in the upcoming budget for future implementation, and we'll continue to work down that priority list from that was developed during Phase 3. You can expect to see a website update being rolled out next week. I think our schedule is for April 13th. This will provide some enhancements within the website, some more user-friendly features, including our news flash and news feed, as well as our calendar. It's important for us with our communications to make sure that everything that gets pushed out on the website as a priority, and then social media being followed up with that. So we wanted to see those features with the news and making it easy for people to follow along. Not as many clicks, hopefully. On to streets, our facilities and grounds director is actively seeking bids for our roadwork project. Those bids are due April 14th, and we will turn any of those over for potential review for a draft contract for council's review at your work session on the 21st. So I just want to give you that update of streets project coming along. Moving into some updates on utilities, I had sent out to the board, but just wanted to verbally communicate that we have finally received our permit for the brine discharge project. This project is to take the brine from the water treatment process and discharge that into the intercoastal waterway. which will divert that from the wastewater treatment plant. The overall intention of this project is to try and keep as much salt water out of the wastewater treatment process as possible. That salt water is very harsh on mechanical makeup of the wastewater treatment plant, as well as all the biological factors that go into treating wastewater to clean effluent. This will also free up just a minor amount of capacity, but overall, again, this is an operational project. So staff will continue in final design of that project and execute. And then just to let you know that the contractors, as we continue to work on the island water tank rehabilitation project, they'll begin the process of hanging the components for the skirt that will go around the water tower on the island. That is to try to contain any sort of debris that might come from the rehab process of cleaning that and repainting and trying to avoid getting that paint on neighbors' cars, et cetera, and houses. So you will see that. That'll be very visual as you come across the bridge, and I believe we hope to have that project wrapped up by June or that time frame. So, and then Mr. Hill already had mentioned, I wanted to put this in my report, but the street sweep on April 22nd. This is Earth Day, so very fitting for the town to be hosting this. There's a link online or on the social media that people can sign up. And we do urge people to sign up just so we know how many folks will be participating and that we can provide the supplies necessary for safety vests and pickers and gloves, just like Mr. Hill was mentioning. And with that, Madam Mayor, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions from the board.
The road work projects, that includes a lot of the canal.
Yeah, it's various portions of the town, and just as a reminder for the board and for our citizens here, we completed a pavement condition survey a couple of years ago, and that helped set priority for roadway projects that we complete. So it's based on what's called a pavement condition index. So we're addressing the worst shape roads first, and not just sort of doing a guessing game by a visual inspection. We actually had some suitability standards to take a look at for how the condition of those roads and how they're graded. And as roads get improved, we are able to plug that improvement back into the system. It'll rescore them, and then everything gets kind of reprioritized from year over year. So looking forward to knocking some of this out in this project, and then every year we'll continue to work on our roads. It's be a never-ending task for us to do. So,
Anybody have any questions for Kyle? All right. So moving forward under new business, I'm calling Amy, the town planner, to come back up and talk about the DMT LLC site plan on J.H. Batts Road.
Good evening again. Before you tonight is a request for the site plan approval associated with the DMT Surf City LLC project. The full-length staff report is in your packet for review and approval, but I'm just going to give you the highlights. The proposed project is for the construction of a storage building with one office area. The proposed building is 7,500 square feet and provides for 4 25 by 50 units and 1 50 by 50 unit. 6 roll-up access doors are being provided so that the interior walls can be reconfigured to accommodate different layouts if needed in the future. The current layout will support a landscape business with offices and restrooms in the largest unit. 2 of the smaller units will be utilized for storage for the adjacent heating and air conditioning company, while the remaining 2 units will be for rent. The proposed site plan includes an internal driveway connection to the adjacent heating and air company to decrease external traffic between the 2 parcels. This connection will be located near the back of the property line and allow truck traffic to ingress on the existing site while egressing on the proposed site or vice versa. Traffic is expected to have minimal impact on the surrounding area as this is predominantly storage. The applicant will place a concrete driveway entrance to provide a stable ingress and egress onto J.H. Batts Road, as well as a 5-foot sidewalk adjacent to the right-of-way. The applicant will also be responsible for the installation of a fire hydrant, stormwater measures meeting Appendix A, Section 5.9 of the town's code, a 5-foot vegetated buffer, and 10 parking spaces. The proposed building will provide 2 different sidings, lightings, and awnings to break up the large-scale appearance of the building. The applicant is working with staff to finalize the architectural materials to ensure it meets town ordinances. Town ordinances allow metal siding to be a minor material. The applicant will add additional siding from the allowable siding materials list to meet the requirements of a major material on a non-out parcel lot. Planning Board heard this at their last meeting and made a recommendation of approval as long as the architectural material was added to meet the ordinance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Anybody have any questions concerning this item? If not, can I have a motion to move forward?
Make a motion, we accept the recommendation from the planning department, to move forward with it.
To approve it. Right, Ms. Combs? It'd be a motion to approve?
Yes, sir.
You second?
I'll second it.
All
Let
those-
you say.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And then our next item is the approval of the design build method criteria for the Surf City Skate Park project. And here comes Miss Jody.
Hello, everyone. So in front of you today, I'm requesting approval for the design build method criteria to move forward with the Surf City Skate Park. So this is a government entity shall establish in writing the criteria used for determining the circumstances under which a design build method is appropriate for the project. So this is something we need in order to move forward with our process to push out our RFQ for requests for qualifications.
If I could interject right here, this just follows with our normal procedure that we're doing in Parks and Rec as far as our grant funding that we've received. This gives us authorization to do that and to move forward with the planning process to get bids to go to the next step for our skate park and what we've got planned for the Inez Bats.
Earl Inez.
Earl Inez Bats park.
Recreation.
And I would recommend that we consider this very strongly. In fact, I'd make a motion that we approve that.
I would be happy to second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Jody. Now I'm going to call on Melissa, our new finance director, with our audit contract.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Council. It is a pleasure to present to you this afternoon our annual audit contract with S. Peterson, Douglas & Associates for acceptance and approval. This contract covers our upcoming external audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2023 and assistance with preparing our annual physical statements. The fee is $27,000. Once accepted and approved by the board, the contract will be sent to LGC for their acceptance and approval. After LGC approval, the auditors will be on site in early June to begin their preliminary field work. I respectfully request acceptance and approval of the audit contract for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. If you have any questions, I'll be more than glad to answer them.
I make a motion we move forward or awarded the contract for it.
I'll second it.
Brian?
Madam Mayor, the standard local government commission form, LGC form, is Form 205. It looks like that was revised in November of last year. I'm looking at their kind of cheat sheet, if you will, what the changes are, and I compared that to the audit in the agenda packet. It appears that the Form 205 in the agenda packet is the most updated form, but I would just like the approval, if you're inclined to vote to approve it, be contingent upon confirming that with the auditor.
Let me rescind my motion and make a new one. I make a motion that we approve this based on the consent of our legal counsel and making sure everything is moving okay in the right direction.
And I will second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to move to council forum. And we'll start with Mr. John tonight.
All right. Well, I'm glad to see that we've got the skate park headed in the right direction. It's been a long time working on it, and it's going to finally come through, which is great. It'll be a good addition to the park, and it'll be the lead to follow with the many other things that we're going to put into the park. So, that's all I have to say for this evening. Mr. Buddy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody who came out tonight in attendance, and those who've voiced your concerns and your opinions. I want to thank you for that. And Mr. Hill, I appreciate all that you and your organization does for the town of Surf City and its residents. You make a big impact, and it's always a pleasure to see you all working on those things. The other thing that I have in looking at it, a lot of times when we're looking at things and giving our opinion, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, I defended this country to give us the right to that. But in doing so, look at the legality of some of these things that you have to deal with too, and see what your opinion bases up to the legality of things. Sometimes what we would like to do and what we can do are two different things. We've got a good council here, we've got a good area to work with, we've got good citizens, but still, are we perfect? No. But we certainly strive to be, and we're always open to comments and suggestions and opinions. And I thank all of y'all for doing that. And with that, Madam Mayor, I have my...
Okay.
Me.
You, baby.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Very good. Couple things real quick. Okay, John. All right, couple things real quick. Make no mistake, we hear everything you say. So when you come up to the podium and you say things, don't think it turns to deaf ear. When it's over, Teresa and I'll call Teresa. We talk about it. I'll call John. We'll talk about it, and we have some discussion. So people don't ignore what you say. So it is important to us. Also, I want to say congratulations to Alexis. She's our new communication girl up front there. And I don't know how that works, but Kyle can explain this today. I mean, no, but seriously, communication is important in our city, and she was the front desk person, so that she got moved over to communication through that, applying for that. So I think it's a great move for us. You know, we like to make sure we're communicated with. Also, that street sweep that Mike talked about and Kyle talked about, a lot of you don't realize how important it is. I always say, if you don't get involved, then you don't have the right to bitch. So get involved. Okay, that's just factual. So come and be a part of it. So you can come and help do, because, you know, they always have the beach sweeps and they do a great job, but let's be honest, a lot of cigarette butts in our city, a lot of things happen there, and I think it's super important that you can take an hour or two and walk around and pick up garbage. And, you know, we've been working on budget with this council's been working on budget. It's been amazing. All the department heads here have presented their budgets to us. We've been going over with a fine-tuned right, and we've been really just kind of just microscopic, looking at this, make sure that what's going to be right, and we want to provide you as the citizens what you need and merge with our city to make sure that Chief Voorhees, Chief Wilson, Amy back there, everybody needs, Chris, we all need, Jody needs what they need, so we got to figure out how to do this without taxes going up, right, because it's not an easy process. So those are some things that we constantly work on. And I'll just say one more time that it is very important that you get involved so you can make a difference. So if there's a board coming up, there's a vacancy on a board, or there's a place that you can serve and be involved, okay? Because that's the best way that you can help our city. So thanks so much.
Mr. Hugh?
I'd like to thank Colonel Burnham and the Corps staff coming up. I thought that was a really informative presentation that he made. It gives me some excitement or some happiness that seems like we're progressing to that beach renourishment. I'd like to thank Mr. Hill and Mrs. Salazar for coming up and speaking on what they had. And for everybody else that's here tonight, this is the way I see this. There's a lot of places and a lot of things that you could be doing on Tuesday at 4:30. But you chose to be here and to be involved, and that's a big deal. And I just want you to know it doesn't go unnoticed on me. Thank you.
Thank you. So for 23 years, Surf City has been committed to this beach nourishment project, and we're going to continue to apply the pressure to all the parties that we need to, as far as staying on top of the Army Corps. With the DC trip, you know, Kyle has gone above and beyond with meeting with all of our representatives, continuing to send out emails on a weekly basis wherever we can, just to put a little bit more pressure on whoever we can to make sure that this project does move forward in a timely manner, because we have stated many times it's going to happen this time. It's going to happen this time. But it is going to happen. It is going to happen. We're not going to say when, but it is going to happen. And also, as far as like, you know, with the Applewood Trace developers, the Turtle Creek community came out, they voiced their concerns. Our planning board voiced their concerns. Our town council voiced their concerns, and also our staff. So when we do listen, and we knew that this project was too much for the amount of land that they were trying to build on. So we are definitely going to listen to y'all and look, and we know that there's infrastructure that needs to take place, and that there's our schools. Unfortunately, you know, this board can't control the schools, Ms. Salzar. I encourage you to go to the Board of Education meetings, to, you know, be there to talk about our schools. But as far as roads and water and sewer and infrastructure, we are staying on top of it. We know that infrastructure is the key to moving forward in Surf City. Other than that, we'll look forward to the beach sweep, but before that, we have Easter. So I hope you all have a happy Easter this weekend, and that's about it. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Oh, Brian, you have anything?
No report, just happy. Welcome to the season.
I second Mr. Cannady's motion.
A motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, please.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Yippee.